we have to create the right vibe, the energy, and everybody at the organization has to feel so privileged to be here. It's no other way.
Thanks for listening to the Purely Arsenal podcast. Please follow us on Twitter at Purely Arsenal FP for all the latest Arsenal podcasts.
Welcome to the sit down at the Purely Arsenal podcast. It's been a month to forget for Arsenal, but we're here to remind you all of it. And I've got James Johnstone with me. How you doing, James?
Morning, yeah, or evening, afternoon, whatever it is in your lovely place in the world. Hello everybody.
Top man.
Wish we were coming back under better circumstances, but like the team, we are consistently inconsistent with our uploads. So.
Absolutely, definitely. It's been a month to. It's been a horrible month footballing wise, hasn't it? Off the pitch as well. If you think about the transfer window and the COVID or COVID related issues and suspensions, etc. It's just been shocking. But we know we don't record after losses, so you should be proud of us, because definitely the Burnley draw yesterday felt about as close to a loss as you could get. I mean, that was as much as a home banker as you're ever going to get, and it was pretty drab, pretty devastatingly poor. I know we created, I think, 20 shots on goal, but when you've watched the game, it just felt like, certainly in the first 45 minutes, we didn't really do much. We had a 20-minute spell, which we've been known for in the early part of the Arteta era for quite a long time, of having these little bursts of energy. So it felt very much like an older Arteta moment. But this month, James, we've been knocked out of the FA Cup third round to a lower league opposition in Nottingham Forest. Okay, we had a lot of injuries and suspensions and whatnot, and COVID cases, but shouldn't be losing that game. Lost to Liverpool over a rescheduled false positive 2-leg affair with Granit Xhaka. Did his best to ruin. North London derby cancelled because of our own COVID injury at AFCON and its suspensions, really. City, we beat City in a 2-1 defeat, and we drew at home to the worst side in the league, who we really hope we're not going to be playing again for a long time, because they're a horrible team in Burnley. It's been a ridiculous month. I mean, I can't wait to watch the episode on Amazon. To be honest, now I've seen it in real life. Obviously, I'd never want to see it again, but I'm going to watch it on Amazon.
Yeah, probably fast forward the game stuff and just go to. Yeah. I don't want to relive that. I've already watched that. Yeah.
Watched Aubameyang at the airport flying back from AFCON.
Yeah. Give me the dirt. I don't want to know the football.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, it's more interesting at the moment.
Yeah, give me the tattle.
Yeah, exactly. But before we get to all that stuff, which is obviously very interesting, but we should be the month. Like, we were quite positive on Arteta on the last podcast, saying he's got us back into contention with the top four. Huge opportunity, we felt, in the top four that none of us saw early in the season. So full credit to him for that. But takeaway thoughts on the month that you've just seen.
So I hate trying to turn it back round onto myself, but I was telling people not to get carried away, because I went, this could all be over. I remember speaking to Neil, going, "This is his most important month, Neil," and Neil and Michael both agreed. And but we all, like you said, we were all optimistic. We should get through. We'll muck through, because that's what we've been doing. The evidence that was presented to us was that we were mucking through, and it's been an absolutely terrible month. The old classic: if you fail to prepare to fail, just comes true again. I cannot believe the level of negligence from top to bottom. And that's off the field. I'm not even, going to go into the players there. We needed that midfielder in the summer. I mean, Lokonga, for all that you want to, people are laying into the lad now. I don't necessarily blame him, but we've needed that proper, partner for Thomas Partey, as you like to say, mate, in the Gilberto mould or what have you, or the Vieira mould, to let the other player that's box to box do what he needs to do. And we've still left it. We needed that desperately even before AFCON and the injuries or the suspensions and everything else. And then to let Niles go, and a bit of letting Niles go, I can't step in the way of the player and what the player wanted to do. Really? Because he's under contract. So if you're telling him you got to stay here, but then you got a potential of, would the player then refuse to play? Have you got disciplinary issue? I think, like I said, I've said it before, I think the main thing there was that his missus was digging him out on Instagram, was digging Arteta out on Instagram. And it all makes its way back. It all makes it, you not think that they've got people that look at that or whatever. And he's just like, I've got another one here that potentially I could fall out with. And so he's gone. And, majority of the player, people are saying as well, oh yeah, but you've had all these problems and you're loaning all these players out. Every single player that we've loaned out are ones that majority of us as fans would want to move on anyway, apart from potentially Balogun. But then you look at Balogun and you go, you're not really ready anyway, are you? Let's be brutally honest. You're not
right
really
out for
ready.
a loan, yeah.
Yeah, you're not really ready anyway. And we've potentially wasted about 18 months of that guy's development ever since he re-signed his contract anyway. So we're partly to blame. And it just all come to fruition yesterday when, yes, for my sins, I watched the full 90 minutes, but I should have known the minute that Emil Smith-Rowe come off for Eddie. Well, this is 0-0. It's got 0-0 written all over it.
Out of all the subs, and we've criticised his subs for 2 years, but
yeah,
I want an explanation for that one. That earns that. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, no. I'm with you. And when he did come on, this is the thing, right? I go back to Arteta's in-game management as well. I see him against Liverpool when it's Granit Xhaka does what he does. Completely stupid. Don't really want to give the guy that much props because we've been there and done that before. But I see him in-game manage that Anfield game superbly. I'm like, he's gone to, right, I'm going to go to, a back five or whatever, and just shut this out and get it to 0-0 and then, go back to the Emirates and try and beat them there. And obviously it didn't work, but I thought that was brilliant how they managed that game at Anfield. I thought it was superb how they done that. And then you look at yesterday, and when you bring Nketiah on, you're thinking, okay, you're going to go to a 2 up top with Lacazette, or you're going to drop Lacazette into the 10 role, have Eddie as the forward. No, he's put Eddie out wide. He's doing shuttles, he's trying to cut in that way. And I'm like, this guy, we know he's not good enough. I know I've joked all along with Eddie and everything else like that. I'm like, this guy's a poacher. He's in the box. You know what I mean? He's a tap, he's, for want of a better word, he's a tapping merchant. He's not going to tap him in when he's trying to get past. And then Tierney, who, you rightfully called out first half, and I think he had a better second half, but Tierney's being called wasteful and rubbish. But the crosses he's putting in aren't bad. They're not bad, but they look wasteful and rubbish to the players that we've got. Yeah, well, anybody,
Someone that can head the ball or wants to be in the box.
Yeah.
I'm
just like, there's just so much there now that's going on that you're just thinking the worst. And I know mathematically top 4 is still on, but based on the evidence that we're seeing at the moment, I think without those 2, potentially 3 players that we need to get in, can't see it happening, mate. Just cannot see it happening.
And obviously, we want to talk more general because obviously, when we've missed so many games, it's hard to focus on just one. And I think there is general themes across this month anyway, in what's been a really, really terrible month for us. But like you said, it despite the setbacks. And City, the City loss was probably the one shining light in terms of performance. Certainly deserved something out of that game. Actually, we probably deserved to win that game, to be honest, which surprisingly enough. But we didn't. But certainly there was something. It's
like you made me laugh earlier with what you said. But is that the level now? I'm sorry. of my standards at Arsenal got to get so low that I go, oh, yeah, but we played really well with a 2-1 loss, didn't we?
That is the level. It really is. It's sadly, so sad.
Is that what I've got to look for? You know, is that what I've got to clutch onto now?
Even I was praising the fact that we performed well when, there was a time where performances almost were a given. You just kind of looked at, are we going to get the result today? Well, so they certainly were across a big span of things. And that's why when we get into judging Arteta, I do think there'll be a point this season, because I have a strong feeling that we won't make top four, that the performances will come into the factor, and we're hearing rumours of a new contract being offered early before the end of the season, and I just think that's insane when we're at where we're at currently. But we will get to that. Obviously, yesterday, we are paper thin, and like you said, I do feel sorry for Lokonga in a way, because I don't want to judge him. He's certainly not ready to hold the midfield on his own, though. So how can you judge him? And when you've got these two senior counterparts doing absolutely ridiculous things to get themselves sent off, I mean, full praise to Partey for making it back and wanting to play after jumping off a plane. But I don't care if you have 1 hour sleep, better than that. And Granit Xhaka, obviously, we've seen it all before, so we're not surprised there. It's just like you said, shrug your shoulders and go wait for the next one. But again, it's putting. We always talk about wanting to put youngsters in a position of confidence to build them up. I think we've really let Lokonga down this month. I mean, I really do, and I'm judging a lot of things, but I'm trying really hard not to judge Lokonga at this moment, because I think not only have you left him high and dry, you've left him without a central midfield partner whatsoever. And although I think Odegaard's been our best player in a lot of these losses, he's not a central midfielder. He's not even playing there. He's wanting to be further up the field to impact the game against the Liverpool home game in the week. Him and Martinelli were the two shining lights, but he's not really alongside Lokonga. Lokonga's trying to hold down a fort against Fabinho, Henderson. I mean, it's impossible for the lad, So I actually thought Lokonga was pretty decent against Liverpool in that second leg, but in comparison to certainly what we've seen throughout the rest of the month. But James, like you said, when you look at the position in the league, it's all to play for. 16, 17 games left. We're out of both competitions now. It's a very clear path as to what we've got to do. There's not a lot of games, but we are so paper thin. And my real concern is, unless things are absolutely perfect, meaning everybody's fit, everybody's had a full week of training session, I have very little confidence that we're going to go and perform in that next game. And let's face it, we're in a world where that's just not going to happen very often. When you've got your most senior players that you're supposed to rely on, most often being the ones that are the least reliable and getting sent off and suspended, every other week. And when you decide to do what we've done in this transfer window and loan people out without replacing them. And then with COVID and injuries being higher than they've ever been because of things like COVID and people coming back and playing through fatigue and etc., all that kind of stuff, and games being jam-packed because, of postponements and etc. So that's my real concern, is when I look at the other sides, James, I think they've got new managers in, Conte and Rangnick. In theory, they're going to get better. Right, new managers taking time to get their point across to the players. They are going to get better, and there's no real guarantees at this point that we are. Do you know what I mean? This manager's been trying to implement his philosophy for 2 years, and some of us are still struggling to see it on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. So it's really concerning. But like I said, on paper, absolutely all to play for. Got to play all these teams one more time. I think we've still got to play West Ham, Spurs, and United, haven't we? So absolutely all to play for. But when you look at it, James, I can't help but think we're going to fall short. Can you?
No, I mean, I've had this discussion with other people as well. You saw that Chelsea were having a slide. Seems that they've seemed to resolve that. I mean, if you want to have a look at comparisons with us and with Chelsea, they have an off-the-field issue with Lukaku. Within 3 days, that's dead and buried and they move on. We've got off-the-field issues here with potentially about 7 players that are on loan, as well as the ex-captain, and it's still going. shows the levels between the clubs, doesn't it? Them lot up the road, like you said, they've got a manager, but an experienced manager per se. But the one thing I will say is that it is them lot, and the history does indicate that they will choke. That's just, I'm banking on that they potentially might choke it. But they've got individual players that when they are absolutely terrible will blow them out. And I go back to Man United. Again, they've got individual players that are experienced or what have you, that will, when it push comes to shove, will potentially blow them out. If you look at their game the other day, and you can dispute the goal you want, for me, I think, the more and more I watch it, it's marginal. But at the same time, they're bringing the likes of Rashford or Cavani or what have you off the bench. We're bringing Eddie on. Do you know what I mean? That's the difference. And then West Ham, I think potentially, pardon the pun, like I said to you the other day, I think that bubble's burst. But at the same time, they've got a team spirit, and they're all united under their manager that they have, because they will run through brick walls, especially the experienced players. They will run through brick walls for that manager. With us,
the most organised out of the four of us, aren't they?
Yeah, we've got young players that will run through brick. But like you said, the senior ones, okay, we're coming up to February, Jack. Lacazette's got 3 league goals. If we're looking at him yesterday, he should have had a hat-trick yesterday.
Shocking miss at Smith Rowe as well. I mean, that one's specific. I remember the others.
That one's the specific one. You got the one where he lashed at it in the first half, and I thought that it was narrow, but then when I look at the replay, I'm like, oh no, that's well wide. And then you've got the other one, like I said to you, where he executes the Cruyff turn, and then he lays it off to Tierney, who Tierney then blasts it over. Lacazette of old, and I don't know if, like you said, there's going to be this drop off now because he's going, and he's like, why should I overexert myself? Because
human nature.
You're getting rid of me anyway. Yeah, but I'm like the old Lacazette. As soon as he does that Cruyff turn, it's in the box. It's what you want. I always say, get Lacazette in the box because he can be lethal.
Oh no, his finishing was, and I'm a big fan.
Yeah,
but
he'd have done the turn and he'd have rifled that in.
I think he had
years ago.
His other one was from the Odegaard chance, which I think came back to him, and then he got blocked. But maybe that one you could argue was unlucky. But obviously the one from Smith Rowe got to score that. The real concern from that one is he's not in the box when he should be. So he's like chasing the ball down. So like he's coming deep in his work rate. But against sides like Burnley, you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. You've got 84% of the ball. So I understand it. I completely understand his when we're playing against Liverpool and City, that dropping in, and he's not necessarily going to be always in the box because he's kind of being asked to do that. But he's wise enough to know he doesn't need to do that in every game, and certainly games are going to dominate like this one. So like you said, but my argument with Lacazette, and I'm sure you've been on the same page with it, is for the last 18 months, is that he should start. And I do believe he should start. I think our resurgent has proven he should start. But it's never been that he's the future. And it's also never been that he's the ultimate striker that we should be. I know very well we can do better than Alexander Lacazette. But like you say, when you compare us to the other top four, who are going for top four on paper, if you're playing badly, United got Ronaldo and Cavani. If Tottenham are playing badly, they got Kane and Son. West Ham are playing badly, they got Antonio. Every single one of them starts.
Bowen as well.
Bowen as well. Yeah, he's on fire.
He's starting to do stuff. Yeah.
But every one of those strikers starts for Arsenal. No question about it. Every week. Yeah. So, and we don't have that. And what we have in Lacazette is something completely different. But in order for Lacazette to be to be allowed, we're putting huge reliance on the wide players. And I love our wide players. I love Martinelli, Smith Rowe, Saka, but they're too young to be relied upon that often. You know what I mean? Saka, I believe, is on the cusp. I always believe he's on the cusp. But look, he's looked exhausted the last couple of weeks. Yeah. Like he just wants to go to Dubai and rest.
I wouldn't even put him on the plane.
No.
I'd say to him, stay at home or whatever. Put your feet up, mate. Have a break because yesterday, I think it's a bit one that, again, people are like, well, that's a bit left field, but I sort of agree with it. I think Ramsdale, in both the Liverpool games and even yesterday, starting to show signs of a bit of a drop-off. Yeah. And that's mainly in his handling. In terms of
punching a lot.
Yeah, and he still kept a clean sheet yesterday, which got no problem with. That's what I want. But his distribution is lacking because the players, like you said, especially Saka and everything else like that sort of long one that he tries to do that we run onto, Saka's shattered. And I mean, Martinelli, again, brilliant. Love the guy to bits. Think he's amazing. But now teams are going put 2 on him. Same as with Saka, just put 2.
Yeah.
And they, for us all, they're good, for all amazing and technical and special they all are. You can't run through a brick wall because that's what Burnley were yesterday. They're absolutely massive. One of them should have been sent off.
I mean, crossing the amount we did against them, we had 25 crosses during the game, is madness. Yeah. I mean, it's madness if you just look at the players that we're playing. Then you look at the fact that we're playing against a basketball team, and it is, and he's obviously asked us to do that. We're not doing that 25 times in a game. We did 37 last season against, I don't know, West Brom or something. But again, I'm watching it and I'm like, oh my gosh, 2 made a player, 2. But again, this is a result. The reliance on the youngsters, James, is a result of how Arteta uses his squad. Now, I know we've been ravaged by injury like every other club and COVID, etc. But when you ostracise Aubameyang, who can play on the left, and when you ostracise Pepe, he's not quite, but he basically has. I mean, there was an 8-game stretch where Pepe didn't play a minute or something before the AFCON, right? You can't do that. You can't do that because this is the result of it. You've got a 19-year-old who's played more minutes than any 19-year-old in the league, I believe, in the Saka. And then you've got Martinelli, who's had a good rest period coming in. But again, he's got no one to rotate for him if Smith Rowe is feeling something. Nothing at all. We're too thin there, but we're too thin there not just because of injuries, but also because he like you said, he isolates a lot of players in the squad over a course of a season. He's done it every year. And I've agreed with a lot of it to a certain degree because I've understood, the Aubameyang disciplinary thing. I understood it. You've got to set ground rules, but you have to draw a line somewhere. Do you know what I mean? You can't keep doing it.
I mean, I look at it now and I think if obviously AFCON wasn't taking place and what have you, I think he would be utilising Pepe at the moment.
Yes.
And I think he was a guy yesterday that if he was there, he might have got something out of yesterday because as much as you say that is the instruction and everything else like that, I don't think Pepe cares. I think Pepe's just like, I'm going to do what I want,
It's quite refreshing about him sometimes.
Yeah.
When it's stagnant like that.
We've all had our little discussions about it. I think Pepe's just going to be like, don't care.
He's an individual.
You're going to sell me in the summer anyway. So until you sell me, I'm going to do what the fuck I like.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely, I agree with you. And yeah, like you said, it was calling out for that yesterday, really. But we had a 20-minute period for me where we were banging on the door. But throughout it,
we took off the player that was giving us the emphasis.
Incredible. That's an incredible substitution. I know he doesn't have many options, but Smith Rowe, to me, even in the first half, I felt he started to look. We haven't seen the same Smith Rowe for a few weeks. Been carrying a niggly injury. To me, he started to look fit again. And I was watching that thinking anyone but him. Even if you took Saka off, I mean, he was exhausted from minute 1. He was exhausted since the start of the Liverpool game. Let's be honest. So that would have been more understandable. Martinelli, a lot of minutes in his legs, but again, he's so much energy. But the Smith Rowe would have been the last player I would have taken off in that front four, to be honest. So I found it absolutely baffling. But it's 2 points massively dropped. That's the concern here. Yeah. Obviously, Spurs, they were expecting to lose to Chelsea probably anyway. They've had 2 unbelievably, incredible results with the Leicester one and the Watford one, where Watford, they deserve probably to lose. Leicester, they probably deserve to win, but when you're 2-1 down with 30 seconds to go, you don't expect to win it, and that's, that is what Conte will provide, though. He will, he knows how to get results in a squad. And on paper, I don't know if you agree with me, but on paper, I think we've got a better team than Spurs. I really do. I think Kane and Son stand out, for sure. But I think if you look at the whole team, I'd rather have our players than theirs. I do believe that. On paper, United, they've got a lot of talent individually, but collectively they're such a mess.
Yeah.
And Rangnick is not the coach for them, not at all.
No.
I mean, to be honest, Rangnick is the kind of coach that he would want a squad like ours. I feel like he would want a squad, not a lot of egos, or we're pushing them out the door and all these players are coming up, into their prime. He seems like that kind of coach to me. He's not a coach there. I don't think he's really had a lot of experience dealing with, the egos of a Ronaldo, of a Varane and a Pogba and these kind of guys, So I think there's problems there too. And then, like you said, with West Ham, still in Europe, paper thin squad. So there's just huge opportunity here. Where do you stand on the benchmarks? At the start of the season, I think you said we finished sixth and seventh, and win a cup.
Seventh.
And I think I said maybe we get sixth, but I've got to listen to it back. Where do you stand on? And at the start of the season, just to clarify my position, I said that if we finish top six, I'd say he's done okay there, and that's showing signs of progression. I've completely changed my mind on that. I personally think if you don't get top four this season, you can't be giving the guy a new contract. Now, whether you keep him for another season and wait until it's finished, I don't see much point in that, but I would, that's fair. But personally, I've changed on that. And the reason I've changed on it, for all the reasons I just said, you've got two managers, two teams that have been in an absolute mess and have had to sack their coach mid-season, like we did with Arteta, with Emery, and brought Arteta in. We didn't judge Arteta on that season, did we? He won the FA Cup, but in the league, we didn't judge him a thing. So they've had all of that to deal with. And I think in that sense, there's no bigger opportunity to get top four. And there might not be when United sort themselves out and Conte's had a summer to work with his team. I don't think there will be. So I think you have to be knocking on the door to get top four. And I completely changed my mind on that. What do you think?
I'm 100% with you. What's the word I'm looking for? The objectives that we set out, or what have you, or the remits, or whatever you want to call it, that like you said, that's changed. That has changed, because for me, it's bad enough, spoke about it earlier, it's bad enough that I'm going top six is a good season. I'm lowering my standards for this football club constantly lowering the standards. And I think now, like you said, looking at everything that's gone on, and again, when we did those initial predictions, we bought all these new players and we were like, but it's the gelling, it's the integrating. And we've seen how well they have integrated. Okay, some of them are having hiccups now, like I mentioned, Lokonga, don't blame him all on his own. Ramsdale showing signs of a decline and what have you there. Little signs, I reckon he'll bounce back though. And for me now, if he doesn't get, him and Edu, I'm not just blaming him and Edu, if they don't get these 2 to 3 players, like we said, and get the top 4, they've both got to go, because you've squandered 2 potential opportunities that get you some form of European football. Might not be the European football you want, but you've squandered 2 opportunities there in the cups. And like we said on WhatsApp, and we'll bring it up on here, that Nottingham Forest game is, we only lost that due to the fact that we got overrun in midfield because we played 2 inexperienced players, because we were negligent not to go and do the business that we needed to do. And again, I cannot abide all these people that are like, but the other clubs aren't moving. The other clubs aren't moving. I don't care about the other. I don't support the other clubs.
But they're also not loaning out player week after week, are they?
Yeah, there's that. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't care if everybody else isn't moving. I want to move. The analogy I'll use is, I'm a single man. When I go out clubbing and, there's some nice ladies in there, I'm not stood there going, my mate Jamie or my mate Ryan or whoever, they haven't moved. I'm like, if I see one that's looking at me, I'm going. I don't care if my mates are going or not. I'm going to have a punt. What? I can't understand. Like you said, that it's glaring, the weaknesses. They're absolutely glaring. And we're still, I'm not sure. Do I do this? Do I do that? And then you're putting all your eggs in these 2 baskets. If these 2 players or what have you, especially Vlahovic. If Vlahovic is, I want this, I want that. Bung it off. Go. What's next? Surely you've got a list. You've told us that we've gone from this agent-based approach that we used to have to now they're going back to stat DNA or scouting or whatever. Whatever it is. Surely you've got your key, your KPIs or whatever you want to call it, of what you're looking for, and who does that best? Who does that? Just work down the list. Just work down. You can't just tell me it's one and done. I only want him, and if we can't get him, then that's it. Don't worry about it. Because for as ever much as they're inexperienced, I don't like to think they're dense.
And I don't think they are. I mean, the one area I've been full of praise for Arteta is his sort of player recognition and recruitment. But
especially the summer just gone.
Yeah,
all 6 of them.
Willian aside, but absolutely, they earned a lot of credit in the summer, and I think they continue to do so. Even with the little dips that you're seeing from the likes of Ramsdale and Lokonga, largely. We've all been very, very impressed by the signings that have come into the first team. Still a little bit to judge on Lokonga and Tavares, but Odegaard, I think, has been fantastic. Arguably one of our best players. Ramsdale's been one of the best goalkeepers in the league. Had a little, setback, but like you say, he's 23. He's got his best years ahead of him. If this is a setback for him, then I'm not worried if it gets this bad. And then the likes of Tommy Asu have been full of praise for. So I just think. Like you said, I'm not going to judge them until the end of the window. But already, what you can say is, if you're going to loan out Maitland-Niles, you cannot do it at the start of the window if you know you're not going to get anyone till the end. You just can't do it. You can't do it because you've already lost 2 midfielders to the AFCON. You've known that since the summer. You've known El Neni and Partey are going. Right, and we got lucky because Partey got knocked out way earlier than Ghana was supposed to be knocked out. Yeah. So we got lucky with that. That wasn't part of the plan. So let's be honest. I mean, we'd have a far better chance of going through in the FA Cup if we had a senior central midfielder. Right, Patino is too young to be playing at this level at this moment in time. That just wasn't fair on him. So that was
especially with Lokonga anyway.
Yeah, of course, and that was completely negligent. So. I think we've understood where we're at and what we believe. We both believe top 4 should be on the table. It is by paper. Everyone wants to talk about how it is by paper, but, it shouldn't be the goal. And I listened to another podcast earlier today and the host was saying, well, you're moving the goalpost. Top 6 was always the goal for this season. I'm like, well, it's okay to move the goalpost from last season when top 6 was also the goal, but we finished 8th. You're okay saying, no, keep Arteta because I believe in him. So hold on a minute. Goalposts can move because they've moved for the manager and he's been given 130 million based on failure because he should have been sacked at the end of last season, right? If he gets through it and he gets top 4, I'll hold my hands up and I will say, you need to give this guy a new contract. He's made it here. But I'm telling you what, if he doesn't, there should be no talk of a new contract. Not at all. Now, the argument there is if he has a really valiant effort for top 4 and he just misses out on it, on the last day or two of game weeks, then I think there's a discussion to be had. Fair enough. There's a discussion to be had. If the performance,
it's still a failure for me. Yeah, still be a no for me. I'm sorry. You've got to get it. You've got to get it now.
I agree with you, to be honest. And I think, after results, some people say, well, you've got to also look at performances. In honest truth, if you look at the performances over a 2-year span, they have not been good enough. There's been a spike in performances, I'd say, November, December time this year. So, probably some of the best football we've seen maybe from Mikel Arteta. I'm full of praise for it. But that is not enough. That is not enough. We need to see that. And we need to see that at all times. We can't just see that when his best 11 is on the pitch. We can't, because no team has their best 11 on the pitch. Everyone went on about Arsenal's issues against Liverpool with people coming back from COVID and not having training. Liverpool missing Salah and Mane. You're telling me we can't give Liverpool a game? I just saw Crystal Palace very unlucky to not get a draw against Liverpool.
They had no Keita and no Thiago as well.
Yeah.
And that they're 4 starters. You take 4 starters out of our team, well, you've seen it. You've seen it.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And again, but they're further in their project than us and everything. Oh yeah, that's the case. Yeah, that might well be the case. But again, this is the transfer window. It's the transfer window. I thought you are allowed to buy people. Yeah. You're allowed to make these, and people go, oh yeah, but it's not FIFA, is it? And everything. I'm like, yeah, I know, but it's not. Okay, the striker is probably going to be expensive. I'll throw that out there. Strikers come at a premium, but a midfielder that's better than Granit Xhaka, well, that's hardly going to break the bank, is it?
There's so many options out there. So many options out there. And
we'll probably discuss it in a minute, but for me, Jack, I just, like you said, it's just criminal. It's absolutely criminal how negligent it is.
Let's talk about it, because we've already discussed the month in general. Obviously, some player sort of analysis where we think we should be aiming for. We both agreed that it's top 4, and for Mikel Arteta and the team. And I still think, despite a horrible month, if we continue to allow this slump to continue, then we're out of it. But if we can bounce back and have a run again, we're in it. We're in with a chance of it. But to do that, can't do it with this squad. I mean, I give us 0% chance of making top 4 with this squad. If we make signings, I still think it's a long shot. If we make good signings, I still think it's a long shot, because I don't really believe that we've got a coach like a Conte who's been there and done it. And I think that's going to hold him in good stead, to be honest. But without the signings, I've not even, at this point, although on paper we are, I don't believe we're in the race. I've not really ever believed it yet. But I said I'll judge it at the end of January. So let's talk about January. What do you think is the reason? Some people saying we did it because of Niles, because, we had an agreement after his Instagram stuff 6 months back. We've loaned out Mari, Niles, Kolasinac, mutual contract terminated. We love it. We're flipping masters of it. And then Balogun, obviously understandable. If you do the way up in the maths, we're somewhere around 200 grand a week off the books. There's rumours, pretty strong rumours, that Leno could go this window, because there's very strong rumours that we're signing a goalkeeper this window, and we're not doing that unless Leno's going, because that goalkeeper's coming in to be a number 2. I think he was MVP in I know it's the MLS, but he's coming in to be a number 2. He's 25, 26. And Aubameyang could also leave. Lots of links in the last week, pretty credible links from apparently. So
what's this El Neni stuff going on?
Yeah, Galatasaray for the last 5 years, Yeah, I know, but absolutely. So all of those are possible, and maybe one or two surprises. What is the point in loaning out all of these players, James, if we're not getting big, if we're not doing a madness?
Yeah, no, I know.
I have to be, don't we?
Yeah. I mean, based on the evidence, like you said, that money being freed up shows you that that's being thrown somewhere. Wherever that is, whoever that is another big question. And, for me, I still think that this Vlahovic guy, if you're looking at the top premium young strikers, Mbappe never going to come to this club unless we're absolutely dominated and flying. Haaland, I believe potentially, if we'd have got the top 4 in the summer, because we're going to have a blowout, I think he might go. He might have gone, I'll have a bit of Arsenal with Odegaard there and everything else, especially if we've got the top 4 in Champions League secured. I might have a go for that. But, he's looking elsewhere. And Vlahovic is number 3 for me, if you're looking at all the data and everything else like that. But again,
he's unreal, yeah.
Yeah, but again, you look, this guy wants to play for Juventus, and I think he's going to play for Juventus. We've seen this story before. Look at Locatelli in the summer. We all got, giddy. Well, especially I did, thinking, "Oh my God, this is ideal." And then he ended up at Juve because they strung us along the whole time. And this is what happens when you get in, especially with these Italian clubs, because they only ever seem to do big money deals with the other clubs that are in Italy.
It's weird because at the start of this window, I think we had a discussion of what we need. And I think we both, maybe you didn't, but I think we both said central midfield is the priority.
Oh, 100%.
Is the first, and I still think it is the first priority. And to be honest, at the start of the window, I don't think a lot of us were saying we absolutely must get a striker in this window. I don't think we were.
No.
The problem with that is, firstly, once you see that the day one of January, the strong link is for us to get a top striker, that's our priority. It's in your mind. You know you need it, but you didn't expect it. So it's in your mind. Secondly, what you're starting to see is we've seen it all along, really, but we do not create enough, but we do not score enough, certainly not from that central position. And also what we know now that we didn't necessarily know at the start of January is Aubameyang is going to leave, latest by the summer. Lacazette, because there was rumours about new contract extension at the start of January, etc., is going to leave. Eddie Nketiah is going to leave. So in order to bridge the massive transition of basically a whole new strike force in the summer, you have to get one of the two strikers, because you need a minimum of two in now. You have to do it now. Yeah. The question is, James, I didn't know anything about Vlahovic until the links came. I'd heard of him. Of course I'd heard of him, but I didn't know we were linked to him, and I don't look at anyone until there's strong links. So, and obviously watching him, the more I watch him, the more I want the player. I mean, he's unreal. I mean, he's unreal. Yeah. And I've watched almost every game this month of his, and he's just unreal. But like you said, it looks very unlikely that that's going to happen, because there's been no real movement on it since the start of the month, when there was strong links that we wanted him, but there was strong links also that his agent and the player didn't want that. And I don't think anything we've done this month, certainly on the pitch, has convinced him otherwise. Yeah. And although Mikel Arteta and Edu are pretty convincing, I would say, at getting players to sign that you just would not expect them to, right? I mean, you talk about the players that we brought in, but think about the players that we kept. You know, Aubameyang at his peak moment. Now, you wish he didn't, but Saka, you know, these contracts that we got players to sign when there was so many offers. Martinelli. So I just think, I do believe they've got Paul. But James, what my our question to you is, if we can't get Vlahovic, who do you want, and who do you think we're going to get? Because I still think we're getting someone.
Yeah, right. Who do I want? Again, this is my left field choice, but I've mentioned it before and I'll mention it again. There's Ludovic Ajor at Strasbourg, the 6'7". People go to me, we need a Giroud. That guy, Ludovic Ajor, and you can look at him on YouTube or what have you, that guy is the closest to Olivier Giroud that I've seen. I think he's about 6'7". The way that he holds it up and lets others in and everything else, he is. But some of the, you know, that, like we used to call it, the Giroud goal, where he just comes in and then just taps it in near post. But this guy does volleys, he does headers, he's the complete. And I'm like, why is no one looking at this guy? And I think that he's about to be called up for France. So maybe that might put him in the. But I'm telling you, man, this guy, I rate this guy highly. I think this guy is the one that's, if we got him, people would initially go, oh my God, what are we buying him for? And then you go, oh wow. So Ludovic Ajor is one that I would really like. But I think we might, and again, I'm not as, you know, okay, Calvert-Lewin's not clinical. He's had a very, very big injury. Layoff. But I look at him and go, for all the attributes and everything that we need, or that we're talking about we want, he ticks the box. Everton are in complete disarray. You know, they're all saying sack their board, get rid of this one, get rid of that one, because they've left them, you know, skint. They haven't got much money. Again, like you said, we're going to be spending 60 or so million on somebody. Sorry, I've got something popping up here that I want to get rid of.
Screen's getting brighter and brighter.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's something coming up.
Work on it. Are you good? No.
Yeah. No.
So you think, obviously, the Strasbourg leg. So carry on with your thoughts on Calvert-Lewin.
I look at it and think he's probably one of the ones that's on the list. Yeah. And he's one of the better ones on the list. I mean, if Jose was to leave Roma and go to Everton and leave them in the mess that they're, you know, leave them in a somewhat mess, I would be chucking money at Tammy Abraham asking
12 in 12.
I would be asking him if he wanted to leave and come back to London.
That's what we know.
I'd be dangling the carrot at Tammy Abraham because again, he was another one in the summer that I said we need to be all over this.
Mm. What do you think about because Vlahovic? I think we can safely say Vlahovic was our first option.
Yes.
What we don't know is what our second striker option was for the summer. I wonder if, even though it doesn't really make any sense not to go for your first option if Vlahovic isn't available, because you had other ones in that bracket, I presume. If you're not getting Vlahovic now, you're definitely not getting him. So, because you're not going to get him in the summer, there's going to be other clubs in for him, like Juventus or whatever. And so you're not getting, this was our opportunity. Personally, I hope that we go for that next player that we believe is the closest thing to him on the list, and we go for the big money purchase now. I get this feeling, which, I really like the look of this Jonathan David at Lille.
Yes.
He's scoring a lot more this season. I like the look of that player. It sounds like he is going to be around that price.
He's the closest thing to a young Lacazette. So,
right.
And I mean, do you really want two sort of Lacazette type players?
No, so it wouldn't really make sense for now. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's what I wonder. I wonder
if we are desperate, Jack.
We are desperate. I do wonder about the Ollie
Watkins.
And
he would score goals. He would score goals.
I do wonder if because Ollie Watkins is a completely different profile. He's nippy, he's smaller, he's nimble, he's agile. I wonder.
And he's what you always say that Arteta likes. You can put him out wide as well if you want Watkins. He's a versatile man. And
I think that second striker is going to be that. I think what you're seeing Eddie do, which he isn't capable of at all, which is playing left, right and centre at the moment, is exactly what he wants his second striker to be able to do. Eddie doesn't have any of those capabilities.
No.
So I wonder, because Villa have been very active in this market, and when Gerrard was interviewed the other day, I found it quite interesting that he said they're getting a couple more in. And I was like, you're not removing many yet. So who's going? Do you know what I mean? And so I wonder if there's a surprise. I am starting to think that we may go local within the league this window if we can't get our number one choices.
I see what you're saying, but does Ollie Watkins really light up our team?
He doesn't. But
I think he's a good player, but I'm like, I can't. We need someone that's going to move the needle.
I don't like it either.
And he's not a needle mover for me.
But if you were told Ollie Watkins is our second striker option, and in the summer we're going to get our first striker, you would go, I'm good with that. And my thought is, because the main links for us has been Tammy Abraham, he left. Vlahovic, he's not coming most likely. And then you've got Isaac and David, and those both look like very difficult signings this window, right? Because they're just well priced, but also I think Isaac just got a really bad ankle injury. Sociedad have got a ridiculous sort of 88 million euros or something on him, money that we may not have until the summer. Maybe we do, but if we had going in for Vlahovic, we probably do, but maybe we're not willing to spend that elsewhere in January. I don't know. I just wonder if we go for that second striker option, and which would obviously be a cheaper option. Ollie Watkins isn't going to be cheap. No English striker is going to be cheap. That's my issue with it. That's one of my biggest issues with it. I personally wouldn't go within the league or for a British striker. I wouldn't do it. I get the feeling that we might this window, or we might try to this window. If we don't get a striker now this window, it's going to feel like a sort of big bit of blow. Do you know what I mean? The weird thing is with the midfielder, I feel if you were going to get the midfielder in, it had to be early. It's already too late. Do you know what I mean? Because by the time we get this midfielder in now, Xhaka, Partey and El Neni will be back. So, will he get game time? Yeah, definitely, because in theory, the midfielder is going to be better than anyone, at the very least, other than Xhaka and Partey. But
he should be.
They should be, yeah, exactly.
If you're buying one that isn't, then it's a waste. Like you said, it's a complete waste of time.
And I made the argument, and I got pelters for it, but I got both sides of it, to be honest. There were some people supporting it. But I said, out of our first 11, Granit Xhaka, it's been so evident that he's the biggest weakness this season out of our first 11, I think. Of course he is. So that the midfielder that we sign, and let's move on to that, has to be the goal of replacing him. The issue there is the biggest link we've had is Arthur Melo at Juve, and that is seemingly a loan option and it seems like we are pretty much adamantly refusing the option or obligation to buy, which makes it seem like a very short-term slot in. What do you feel about it being that? Would you prefer it to be a long-term choice?
Yeah, 100%. 100%, because all the R signings that we've been doing at the moment indicate that we're looking at the long term. And if you go for another short-term one, you've got that potential, like we've said, of dripping into that, back into the Willians and the Cedrics and all that. I don't want another one that potentially we're going to have to pay to leave. So it goes into there. But Arthur, for me, has been absolutely brilliant for Gremio. He come into Barcelona and he was absolutely brilliant for Barcelona for about a season or so. But he was getting comparisons to Xavi and everything else like that. He was never going to be that player. And then obviously he had attitude issues which have been brought to attention, and he's ended up at Juventus. And at Juventus, he's somewhat of a bit part player in their rebuild, and they're looking at him going, well, no, you're probably dispensable. I think, if you look at all the numbers and all the data of someone like Arthur, especially when he's been at Juventus, and you look at the comparisons with all the other players that are in all the leagues that we're looking at, he's very similar to Jorginho, who again was another player that we looked at before and thought, maybe could he do a job at people? And I think that's what we need, Jack. He's not someone that I see that tends to go sideways. No, he doesn't really progress on, but he plays sort of passes that go out wide or into feet to us, to per se an Odegaard or a Smith Rowe, and whoever your number 9 is going to be, which is what we need. We need someone that's a bit more direct and a bit more zippy. But like Jorginho, he can control a game, and he's constantly, vocal during a game. And that's what I feel we need. We need a man in there that dictates a whole game, and he can do it for 90 minutes, and he doesn't have lapses in judgment like our main man that we keep saying that we know has had lapses of judgment since we've signed him.
I don't trust one of our midfielders, and I include Partey in that at the moment.
Yeah.
I hope I can in the future with Partey, but I don't trust any of them. That's shocking, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. But if it's not Arthur, then we keep saying it, and you mentioned David as well. It just seems like Lille are becoming the Southampton, like when Liverpool raided Southampton for all their player. Lille just seems to be the place that we'd chuck 60 mil or whatever, 70 mil at them and go, I'll have him and I'll have Renato Sanchez as well, please. Renato Sanchez, we both.
Unreal. He's not going to us.
We've spoke about it since last summer.
Yeah.
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 I mean, Basuma's still on the radar, but he's another one. Potentially looking at going to Villa, and Villa might go, we need that money to get,
Wow.
It's one of them.
Yeah, I've read that.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah.
But it needs to get a move on, because our next game is Wolves. And
on a Thursday.
That guy's gone extremely under the radar for how well that he's got Wolves playing, because a lot of them are going, oh, Nuno's gone now, they're going to be screwed. I think they're better.
Way better. Play nice football.
Yeah.
Got some lovely players.
Well, I mean, there's another one in there. Maybe we won't sign him because he's our next game. But I'd take him to. I'd have Ruben Neves.
It's weird. There's been no leaks about him, has there?
No.
And the coach came out and said, he's got to protect his. He understand, basically understand that he wants to move on. But it does sound very much like that will be pushed to the summer with Ruben Neves. But and there's been strong links with United.
I'd love him, Jack.
It's fantastic. Great goal at the weekend again. Yeah. He's a fantastic footballer. I didn't really think about him until the Euros, actually, and he didn't really play much in the Euros.
No.
But then I started watching clips of him in pre-season, and he's a lovely footballer. I don't know how he didn't play for Portugal. That manager hasn't got a clue, because he wasn't starting Renato Sanchez either in the Euros until the last few games. But so neck on the line, incomings, what are we doing? Because it's the biggest week of our season.
Yeah, so I reckon we need to get 2 midfielders and a striker, personally. However, I think we're going to get a midfielder and a striker, and I think we're going to get the goalkeeper from Chicago. Is it Chicago? No, New England.
New England Revolution.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah. So because he's a $5 million purchase, so theoretically we could do that now.
Yeah, might be the first one that we do, to be honest.
And then Leno's, but no, I think we get those three.
And
personally,
just to check,
I'm gonna stick my neck on the line
because I want it written. Because if we do get it right, we just keep posting this for a year and a half. To be honest, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I died off it for ages.
Yeah. I'm doing it with Tommy Asu till he leaves club. To be honest, but so you're saying get a striker and a midfielder, and you're saying probably Arthur.
Yeah, I think so.
Did you give me a name? I mean, you said you wanted the Strasbourg striker.
Yeah.
If you had to put your neck out a line on who it was actually going to be, because we've not been linked to that guy unless I'm mistaken.
No, oh God, no. Okay. Nobody has. That's why I'm like, why is no one watching this guy?
And it could be a left field, mate. It could be. We are known to just chuck one out that you've never heard.
Oh, I'd love it. Sticking my neck on the line, I'm going to say Calvert-Lewin.
Jesus,
I know.
That is my least favourite option at the moment.
Yeah.
I watched the weekend.
For me, Jonathan David's too similar to Lacazette. So why would you wouldn't do that now?
Right. But if you look at it another way, I said from November, December when Lacazette was playing fantastic, I said you're not going to get the Lacazette that you get now come February. It's not going to happen because human nature is, Jack, you're starting a new job in the summer. You're down tools. You're just naturally down tools. Or even if you start looking for another job, you start to move your mind elsewhere. So the argument might be there that he wants the similar attributes, but I don't know. I agree it's a long shot because there's not really been any strong links, but there hasn't been really strong links to anyone other than Vlahovic, and we're not getting him. So are we just not getting anyone, or are we getting someone? So, all right, so you're going Calvert-Lewin, Arthur, plus the goalkeeper. Let's go outgoings. Who obviously we already know about Kalashnik and etc. Who might be loaned, or I don't think we'll sell anyone, but who might be loaned out?
See, I think that would Leno be a loan or is that a sale?
What I've been reading about it is a loan, but it might be with an obligation or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I think Leno and Aubameyang go.
Both on loan.
Probably, yeah. I mean, if we can sell Aubameyang, I'd be ecstatic.
Yeah, me too. Wages off.
I'm sorry. People yesterday, you got to reintegrate him back into the side.
Never happening.
He's finished. Finished. And a lot of people go, oh, it's not sad, James, because he's brought it all on himself. For me, it's still a bit sad because that guy could have, should be leaving with his head held high and we should be remembering for the goals he scored. But unfortunately, he's another one that leaves that we're like, bloody hell, I'm glad he's gone.
Yeah, sad, isn't it? Sad when someone, it's like a bit of the Koscielny factor and, I mean, you could say Ozil, but
feel a bit let down by the guy.
Yeah. Oh, massive.
Not personally, I don't get that too emotionally attached to footballers, but at the same time, And again, you got these people, Jack. I'm sorry, you got these other channels and everything else that are out here, and I'm not trying to profess that we're the best in the world because we're too inconsistent to be the best in the world. But when we do it, we're pretty good. You got people that are bringing race into effect. I mean, for me, if you're white, if you're Asian, if you're black, if your penis is green like Yoda, if you're not playing and you're not scoring and you got everything else that's going on, I'm going to judge you. And it's not a race thing at all. Just the guy's completely off the boil. There's all sorts of these other mitigating factors that we're not even, privy to. And it's done. It's done. If you're looking at it thinking, he can still do a job for this side, then you got to come on here and explain it to me because I can't see it. I mean, the guy's been missing tap-ins for nearly a year plus. Look at him in pre-season.
Yeah.
He was missing sitters in pre-season.
Oh, he's not. The contract. I mean, it's been a catastrophic failure from Arteta to since the contract, which a lot of us agree with. I was making this argument on Twitter. Not people weren't getting it.
You could have blamed him for the contract. If you didn't give him that contract in that week, mate, he'd have been massacred for it.
Absolutely. But since that contract, all the off-the-field stuff aside that Aubameyang's done, which has made it harder for Arteta than it should have been, even when that wasn't happening, there was no real sign of what we wanted to do with Aubameyang, how he was going to fit Arteta's system. He was going from playing on the left to central to left. It didn't work either way when he changed his system up. And that Arteta has to take some responsibility for, because although he might have dropped off a cliff footballing wise and signed the contract and gone into the sunset like Mesut Ozil did, you gave it to him, first of all, and which I didn't disagree with at the time, but you had to have a plan for him. And there was no evidence of that plan ever working.
No.
None.
No.
So he has to take some responsibility there. And everyone's saying he hasn't had a chance to get a striker in yet. That's why you gave huge money to the striker that was already here. So the board are absolutely right in saying you're going to have to hold on this one because look elsewhere, because we've got a ton of money going out to Gucci over here. So you've got to hold on him, right? So
that's another big thing I'm worried about, Jack, is that they, are we going to get the money other than letting people go? Because for me, it indicates that, the son went to the dad in the summer and went, please, daddy. And he went, okay. I don't think he's got daddy's money now. I think you've got to clear off the books before you can do what you need to do.
Clearly, yeah, big time.
But it's just like, are we going to keep waiting and waiting for the potential of all believing before we can do what we need to do? Because for me, I'd be like, if I'm Arteta, and I think Edu might feel the same way, but I'm going to Vinay and I'm going to Josh now going, look, can we just gamble and get what we need first and then worry about all it? Yeah. We've got 8 days. Yeah. We've got 8 days, but please, I mean,
and
I think he was focused. I think he was focused on his game against the Buccaneers last night, and I don't even think he realised that we drew Stan yesterday.
No, they didn't.
But I'd be going, look at the evidence of this.
Huge opportunity now.
Yeah, can you please give me...
You do it in the summer, we've got another season where we don't know what's going to happen.
If you're going to back him with a 2-year deal, which we think is, then you've got to back him in this market. If you're going to be, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not clueless.
No. But you're trying to be so proactive with that.
Yes. Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
you've got to. I agree. You've got to back him. So I'm going to assume.
But then, do we keep chucking money at it until it sticks?
I know. I mean, if you're going to back him off a cliff, is what I always said. Yeah, that's basically what we're doing.
I'm with you. Yeah.
But and in fairness, I do think he's signing players that other coaches could come in and work with, etc. I don't think he's blowing us out the water.
He does not leave us in the. If he goes, he does not leave us in the mess.
No,
that's one thing that I'll go. Yeah. No, do you know what, Mikel? No, thanks for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with the belief that we are going to do a madness. And I do find it amazing that we don't really have to get money in for players and we're just removing wages and suddenly we might be able to splash another 70 mil on someone. Like, people will be, we haven't got any money in. I mean, even in the summer, we only got money in for Willop. So it's quite incredible what we are willing to spend, I think. But the thing with the striker one is, because if it is a big purchase, they've got to get someone else in, that team. So can it go to the last day? I'm not certain it can. But I'm going to go for Jonathan David. I'm going to go with him. Now, I do think I've got this Ollie Watkins image in my head of him wearing an Arsenal shirt, but I'm going to go with David. And I think Arthur Melo is the most likely, but I'm praying for the Renato Sanchez one because I think he's cheap.
You think we got to go to Lille with a double suit?
And maybe. Yeah. Lille seem so willing to sell, always.
I'd be doing it. Yeah, I'd be doing it.
I'd be doing it, absolutely. And Lille, if you look at Lille, I know they're in the Champions League against Chelsea. They know they're going out. They're 11th in the league. The season's done. The season's done already. They know it's done. So they have a reduction system there that is unbelievable, to be honest. Whoever they're, get him in, get the board in.
Yeah. I think the only one that's not left is that Botman, who's a brilliant defender, by the way. But Newcastle want it. And that's purely him going, I don't want to go there.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, I don't want to leave. I don't want to play for them.
So then they went to Carlos Sevilla, and he don't want to go there either, or something. But
well, apparently he does, but the club don't want to.
Oh yes, Sevilla are very good at that, aren't they? Because they didn't get rid of
he's just like, I'll take all the money. He went, I don't care. I'll play Championship. I just want the. He's like, I'll have the readies, please.
Yeah. Oh, I can hear my kid crying. Don't worry, I'll get it in a second. We're almost done it. I'll go David.
Maybe rewatching the Burnley game.
Yeah, probably. I know. I'll go with the goalkeeper as well, and I agree with you entirely on Leno and Aubameyang. I do. I think they're both going. It's just going to be.
You got anyone else? You think anyone else is going to go, or just them two?
Just them two. Slight theory on maybe Cedric or Chambers, but I think it's unlikely. Okay. I think it's unlikely because I'm not sure who's coming in for him. But I know there was rumours about Atletico Madrid with Cedric, but that was pure banter, surely. Okay, mate. We will do another podcast straight after the window at some point within that 48 hours. Me, you, Mike, Neil, two of us at least.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
And we'll all be crying or jumping for joy saying, here we go. Here we go. We're back. We might have a manager that we don't believe in. We've got 11 players that are fantastic. No, I'm kidding, Mikel. No, I'm not really. Okay, mate. It was good. I've got it all noted down now, so it's evidence based. I've taken a picture of it, even though we recorded it, so we know we got. But we're going to listen back to this and go, what were we thinking? But when we end up getting Ben Ayoun's brother in on loan on the last day. Okay. Anything else to go with? I think we're good, aren't we? I think we're good. Yeah, you got to go to work.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to predict the Wolves game now. There's 18 days.
Let's do that on the next one because to be honest, I'm dreading that already. But maybe things look up by that point. Who knows?
You'd hope so.
Yeah, you'd hope so. Exactly. Okay. All right, mate. Thank you. Up the Arsenal. Thank you for listening. At Purely Arsenal on Twitter. Thank you, guys. And I'll stop the recording.